welcome to Legacy IAS. Today we will be doing a question that was asked in CSAT 2017. Okay, this was a very good question and similar questions I am expecting in 2026 and 7 and further years also. See, what it says that P is equals to 40% of A plus 65% of B and Q is equals to 50% of A plus 50% of B. Also it is given that A is greater than B. Then you are asked which of these will be correct. That is P will be greater than Q, Q is greater than P, they are equal, or we cannot draw any conclusion. Okay. First thing that you need to understand is this. See, if I write P minus Q, if I find out P minus Q and it comes out to be greater than 0, what I can say? Q is in subtraction here, I can send it there. What I'll get? I'll get P is greater than Q. Correct? Similarly, if I get P minus Q is less than 0, what I can say? Again I'll send Q here. From minus it will become plus, just like we do in equal to. So this will become Q is greater than P. Last is P minus Q equal to 0. Now I send Q from here to here, what I get? P is equal to Q. Now what is important to understand here is just by finding P minus Q, I can get the relation between P and Q. Correct? Just by finding P minus Q. If it comes out to be greater than 0, then P will become greater than Q, less than 0, P less than Q, and equal to 0, then P is equal to Q. So this is the thing. That means in this question also, where we are asked to sort of compare P and Q, what I need to find? I need to find P minus Q. Understood this much? Now see. Now see. Now P is equals to 0.4A plus 0.6 plus 65% of B. Now see this, 40% can be written as 40 by 100 or 0.4. Correct? This can be written like this. Now we will be using this. Similarly 60% can be written by just 2 decimal places we are shifting. So this becomes P is equals to 0.4A plus 0.65B. This is fine. Then Q is equals to 0.5 and 0.5. 50% means 0.5A plus 0.5B. Now you do what? Now you subtract them, because we want to calculate P minus Q. That will give us the relation. You just subtract it, plus minus plus minus plus minus. Now it becomes P minus Q is equals to 0.4 minus 0.5 will be minus of 0.1A, 0.65 minus 0.5 will be plus of 0.15B. Now this is what you get. Now what is also given in the question is A is greater than B. Now how do you find? If you can find the sign of this minus 0.1A plus 0.15B, if you can find the sign of this, then you can get to the answer. Now first I will tell you the method that is given in most coaching given by most coaching institute books, everything. First I will tell you that, okay. Then after that I will tell you a simple trick, or you can say a simple note point through which you can do them directly. Okay. First let's try to get a feel of it using numbers. Now see, this is 0.1A minus this is 0.15B. Now see, if I assume A to be 100 and B to be 1, I assume A to be 100, B to be 1, the condition A greater than B is satisfied, I can take it. Okay, let's try. Then what will I get as P minus Q? This is minus 0.1. Now in place of A I will put 100. What I will get? I will get 10 minus 10, and in place of B I put 1, I get plus of 0.15. Now minus 10 plus 0.15 will give me negative. Correct? This is clear. Now negative means what? So P minus Q is negative, that means is less than 0. This implies Q is greater than P. Simple. Now this is when I took A is equals to 100 and B is equals to 1. Now see. Now let's try another way. I pick A is equals to 1.1 and B is equals to 1. Let's say I pick this. Now what will happen? Now if I put it here, what I'll get? I'll get 0.1 into this 1.1 into minus of 0.1 plus 0.15 into 1. Correct? In place of A I put 1.1, in place of B I put 1. Now what I get? This is 1.1 into minus 0.1, that is 11 only, correct? And then just decimal point we have to see. So this becomes minus 11, decimal point after 1, 2. So 0.11. This is what you get. Now you add 0.15 to it because it was multiplied by 1. So 0.15 plus 0.11 will give you what? It will give you positive 0.04. It means this gives you positive result. Positive means what? P minus Q is greater than 0. This will give you what? P is greater than Q. Now if I took values like this, then I am getting P is less than Q. If I took values like this, I am getting P greater than Q. Now this is an issue, correct? Because it was not defined what is the value of A and P. So this becomes a problem. That is why what we need to do here, we cannot conclude anything from this. Why we cannot conclude? Because for some values we are getting P is less than Q, for some values we are getting P is greater than Q. Okay, so answer would be cannot be concluded with certainty. Understood this much? Correct? Now I give you one more question. Let's take one more question. What was used here? P and Q. Okay. Let's say now P is 60% of A plus 50% of B. Q is 50% of A plus 60% of B. Okay. Also it is given to you that A is greater than B. Same question you have to solve and get what is the relation between P and Q. Is P greater than Q or Q greater than P, or they are equal, or it cannot be determined. Okay. Now some places you will see that because A and B are not given clearly, so the answer will always be cannot be determined. That is not true. Okay. In this question we will see that it can be determined with certainty. Okay. Let's see. You can pause and try. Okay. But I will continue. See. So P and Q is written like this. Now what I do? I subtract them. P minus Q will be what? 60% minus 50%, that is 10% of A will remain, or I can write it as 0.1 A. Now look here, 50%, 60%, again I will get 10% of B, but this time in negative sign, correct, because 60% of B is down. Okay, so if I subtract this, I will get minus of 0.1 B. Understood? Now can I take 0.1 common? Yes sir, you can. So this becomes 0.1 A minus B. Now what is given in the question? A is greater than B. Now if A is greater than B, can I send B there on that side of the inequality? What I will get? A minus B, from plus it will become minus, is greater than 0. What I get? A minus B is greater than 0. Simply if 5 is greater than 3, then 5 minus 3 is 2, that is greater than 0. Same thing. So A minus B here becomes positive. Now this is positive, this is also positive, positive into positive will give you positive. That means P minus Q is greater than 0, or P is greater than Q. So you can definitely get conclusion in this that P will be greater than Q. Understood? So it is not like that in all questions this, that, some trick, no. Okay, you have to find out P minus Q and then see. Now one way of doing this is by taking these numbers. Now taking these numbers become a bit cumbersome. All the time you are taking numbers, you are checking this, that. Okay. Instead, I will tell you a simple rule that you remember, and then you will be done with it. Okay, one thing more that you need to understand, that if P is, let's say, 50% of A plus 60% of B and Q is 40% of A plus 50% of B. Now it is asked you relation between P and Q. Okay, for this you don't need any of this. Why you don't need? Because P is made up of 50% of A and 60% of B, and this is 40% and 50%. You compare these two. So P has more of A, P has more of A, P also has more of B, then their sum also will be more for P. So P is greater than Q. In these questions you need not do anything, because P consists of more part of A and more part of B, then sum total also P will be greater. So in these questions you need not do anything. The issue arises only when you get one positive and one negative, then you have to see. Otherwise, if they are both positive, both negative, then nothing is there, correct? Then the sign is already decided. Now here, if I try to do P minus Q, I will get minus minus. So sign is already decided. I can see and do it, that this consists more of A, more of B. So P will be greater than Q. Nothing to do in this. Now, the only issue arises when you have one positive and one negative. Now, how to do them? A very good way to do them is just to remember this. If you remember this, you can get to your answers. What it says? It says, if equation on subtracting comes out to be in form of, let's say, m minus n comes out to be ax minus by form. Like that question came out, 0.1x minus 0.15y. Okay, where x is greater than y, then it can give definite conclusion only if a is greater than or equal to b. Or in other words, bigger number must not have smaller coefficient. Understood? The bigger of the two numbers, that is, if x is greater than y, then the coefficient of x, that is a, cannot be less than b. If it is less than b, then we cannot determine what will be the answer. If it is equal to b or greater than b, then we can determine. Why it is happening so? Now see, here x is greater than y, x is greater than y. Now, I multiply it with a. Now, if a is also greater than b, then what I am doing? I am multiplying two bigger numbers with two smaller numbers and comparing them. So this one will always be bigger, and we can draw a definite conclusion. Understood? So x is also greater than y, a is also greater than b, then we can definitely derive conclusion. If a is also equal to b, then also we saw in this, we can take it out, correct? And then see the difference between x and y. So that also is known to us. So that is also fine. But if a becomes smaller than b, then we don't know. Then we don't know, because here x is bigger but a is smaller. Here y is smaller but b is bigger. Now it depends what are the values of a, b, x, y. Now all this will depend on it. Okay, so here we cannot draw any perfect conclusion. Understood? Understood? Like you take two person. This is person 1. This is person 2. This person weighs 80 kg. This person weighs 72 kg. Okay. Now, hypothetically, this person weighs more, much more. Now, if this person only eats more food, this person only eats more food, okay, then after 1 year, who will have more weight? This person only, because he was anyway heavier. Now he is eating more food also, so he will be heavier. Simple. Then your conclusion can be clearly drawn. Okay. Now, but if I tell you that this person is 80 kg and this person is 72 kg, but this one is eating more food, he is eating more food, then after 1 year, what will be the, who will weigh more? Now you cannot tell, because we don't know how less this person is eating. Maybe he is on crash dieting and he has reduced his weight a lot, okay, and this person is eating a lot, okay, many fast food and everything, so his weight may increase a lot. So that is why after 1 year I can't tell, because this person had less weight but he is now eating more. So there are two opposite quantities that are at work. So here I can't tell, but if the heavier person is also eating much more, then he will always be heavier than this. Of course, we are not getting into too much details of biology, but mathematics wise this works. Similar thing is this. So if x is greater than y, x is greater than y, and it is also getting a which is greater than b, then of course we can draw conclusion, correct? But if a comes out to be less than b, then it becomes difficult, that now how much a has increased, how less is b, and all that things come. So then we cannot determine. In this case, whenever it is greater, we can determine greater or equal to. That is why if you see this question, just by seeing this question, this is 40%, 50%, 65%, 50%, correct? Now you just subtract them once you get to this equation. Now see this equation clearly. See this, which is bigger? The question says A is bigger than B. Which has a bigger coefficient? 0.1 and 0.15. So this is 0.10, correct? So this one is bigger. So the smaller one has a bigger coefficient. This becomes a problem, cannot be concluded. You will be your answer. Understood? Just by seeing this. This all is not needed at all. Not needed. Simply see the coefficient of a bigger number, but not the bigger coefficient. Cannot determine. Okay? And signs are opposite. If signs are same, then it does not matter. You can just see and tell. So signs are opposite, and the bigger number has smaller coefficient, cannot be determined. If the bigger number has bigger coefficient, we can determine, and we can see that if it is coming out to be greater than 0, less than 0, or whatever, that we can find out. Understood? This is it for this type of questions. Please remember this. It will help you a lot. It is not given in some books and all, but please you remember this. This is coming from simple understanding of coefficients and how on a graph paper, if you see how things change. Okay, you just need to remember this. Okay, and you are done with all these kinds of questions without taking unnecessary values. Why sir you took this value, that value, nothing. Okay, that's it for this lecture. Thank you.